Doc Rivers continues to time and time again not get it when it comes to getting... Oh! Let him play!
How Connecticut are you? Are you wearing khakis and a polo?
Regarding Lynch, who cares? What was he going to do today? Was he going to address each reporter? Oh, thank you for the question.
Cap ran through the entire Yankee lineup, but he left out one guy, and his name is Alex Rodriguez.
I like to try and forget about him because.
From Los Angeles, this is Dave in the City, brought to you by Locks of the Week Radio. Now, here's Dave Medina.
Good evening, sports fans, and a pleasure to have you here. NCAA show. Oh man, you gotta be careful when you do a show the day after you go to a big concert. Good to have you with us from the Dave in the City studios in sunny Southern California after daylight savings time. The sun really comes out on top of you right after that moment. You know, you have these dark evenings, and you come out, and then suddenly it's just you're so much brightness. You feel like you're a vampire that came out of a coffin. It's like, whoa, what's going on? And so there's a lot of that. Last night, I had the privilege of going to see Bruce Springsteen and the E Street Band. I highly recommend it if you've never done it before. Even if you don't really have a huge familiarity with his catalog, and I probably put myself in that catalog. And if you're not a huge fan, I say go anyway because you can appreciate just how good it is. It's really good. Really good. I mean, the band and he were killing it last night at the sports arena here in LA. And that thing's all beat up, and I mean, it's a terrible facility, but Bruce makes it great. And the E Street Band was really right on top of it, making it great as well. Just a great concert. It went 3.5 hours, and all the hype about Bruce Springsteen live. The hype is warranted. All the hype for Bruce Springsteen is completely gettable. Like, you get it. Like, it's like you go and then you get it. And the energy from the crowd was great too. It was really great. A lot of hardcore fans there. This was a night for Bruce fans. It was really cool. So that was it on the concerts. And so, the voice I have today and the energy I have today is gonna be touch and go, but I'm actually pleasantly surprised that I have as much of a voice as I do. So with that voice, we will introduce Andy and Tom to the program in a moment. Let's just set it up first. In our first hour, we're going to basically get into the tournament selection for the upcoming NCAA College Men's Basketball Tournament. And big brouhaha that was, just a mess. And then with Chris in hour 2, we'll preview the brackets in more detail. We'll go by region. But we'll still do a few previews here with our friends Andy and Tom. And we'll also do random questions at the bottom of the hour where we'll talk about sports and other stuff. So let's get started with that. Let's begin. Andy is here. Tom is here. Fellas, welcome to the program. Andy first. How is it going tonight? How is it going in, I'm assuming, sunny Seattle?
Sun's out, guns out. St. Patrick's Day, March Madness tomorrow. Show tonight. Brackets all ready to go. So no complaints. Zero complaints.
Beauty.
Big zero.
Love it. It's a wonderful time of the year. March is a great month. Just for everything. It's just everything feels fresh. Things are starting. It's a really good time. So, Tom, welcome to the program. How's it going this evening?
Dave, it is a beautiful night. As Andy said, great weather, great basketball. We got even Augusta coming up in a couple weeks, I think.
Yep, that's right.
Spring is upon us. This should be fun.
I'm very excited to get this started. It'll be... Tomorrow we begin the field of 64 for the NCAA basketball tournament, and the reason we have you on tonight is to chat about that, but I know that both of you have some big rants against the NCAA selection committee because what they did in selecting these teams really is... Now, I'm going to let you guys do the rant. I'm not going to do the rant, but it definitely was a very poor job by them. I'll give you a quick recap of what happened. First of all, the snubs. These are the teams that did not make it, and next to each team, I listed their RPI ranking. St. Bonaventure, 30th. So, top 30 in the RPI. Akron, 34. St. Mary's, 38, although they weren't really that good this year. Princeton, 39. SDSU. San Diego State didn't make the tournament. That was surprising to me. Valpo didn't make it. Monmouth didn't make it. They had a big win, I think, against UCLA early in the season, and then Hofstra at 54. So that's who didn't make it. Who did make it? Two teams playing tonight right now in the first four, Michigan and Tulsa. And honestly, neither of these teams should be in the tournament at all. What the hell is this? And then Syracuse, which, again, I'm going to let you guys carry it from here. So let's see. I had Andy first. We'll go in alphabetical order. I'll start with you. Your comments on the NCAA selection processes here.
Well, you can attack it a bunch of different ways. You can rant, you can rave, you can be objective, you can be subjective. It's all the same. Listen, Michigan, Vandy, Syracuse, and Tulsa are the four teams that a lot of people did not sit well, that type of scenario. Vanderbilt, preseason was supposed to be really good, and they loafed it. They had a very inadequate, underwhelming November, December, started SEC Conference play 0-3, and then they turned into a hot lead. But when you lose to Tennessee in the first round of your SEC tournament, that looks bad. Syracuse, we will touch Syracuse briefly. They are an overrated piece of hot flying poo. Boeheim suspension notwithstanding, this Pittsburgh-Syracuse game, first round ACC, was basically winner gets an invitation to the dance, loser leaves town. And Syracuse and Pittsburgh just were flinging their own poo for 40 minutes of basketball. Pittsburgh hangs on, and at the time, all the writers, all the people that watched the game, anyone outside the Syracuse bubble would have said Syracuse is going home. Lo and behold, they get selected. So a disgrace by them. And Tulsa and Michigan, I'm not going to go that ham about, because it's not like they in the biggest spot in a must-win game in conference tournament play, they didn't really embarrass themselves. In fact, Michigan hit a game winner in their first round of the Big Ten tournament. Tulsa is kind of a karmic justice. Last year, they were actually supposed to make the tournament. They were 14-2 in the AAC and did not make it. This year, everyone's like, why did they make it? So, and now they're playing tonight. So I'm not going to go crazy on Tulsa and Michigan. Vanderbilt and Syracuse were my two big issues. The four teams I thought should have made it: Monmouth, St. Bonbon, San Diego State, and St. Mary's. St. Mary's and Monmouth are kindred spirits. They both won their conference regular season. St. Mary's has even a bigger bone to pick because they beat Gonzaga twice, home and in their building, lost to them in the West Coast Conference Finals, and at the time, people still thought they were going to be in. I think they only lost 5 times, but they definitely got the shaft. They played a close game against Cal in the regular season in November. So shame on the committee for missing out on them. San Diego State out of the Mountain West. Mountain West was pretty down all year. The teams that usually are good, like UNLV, Boise State, New Mexico, had subpar years for them. So it was looking like a one big lead until Fresno State got super hot, ran the table in the conference tournament. San Diego State, meanwhile, they were lights out January and February. So even though they came up short in the conference finals, again, Lenardi, Rothstein, Seth Davis, you might hate them, but they definitely know their basketball. And all three of them thought they were still going to get in, did not get in. St. Bonbon, I'm not going to go crazy about because they did not show up tonight in the NIT game. I think they lost in their own building. The thing that kills St. Bonbon, their out-of-conference schedule, atrocious. Cream puff. I guess Bonbon, cream puff, same scenario, fitting. And Monmouth, Tommy can touch about Monmouth. You know, they are a polarizing program. Some find them hard to take. Some find them lovable. To be fair, they definitely got shafted. Although in that conference, I do find Iona to be much more of a fun team to watch year in and year out. So, beat Iona, and this conversation is not happening. So they got shafted, but they definitely could have done a few things here and there to help their cause.
Yeah, Monmouth certainly had it. I think that was what I remember. Monmouth had its chances as well. So let's go to Tom now for his takeaway of the selection. And you were fired up on Sunday on the Twitter, so let's hear what you have to say.
I was very pissed on Sunday, Dave. You should have had me on the podcast then, because I'm not as mad. But after listening to Andy, I'm mad again, speaking about Monmouth. Number one, the mid-major took a major shaft in this tournament by the committee. Terrible job by the committee. I don't really get what Monmouth could have done in the preseason when scheduling. I mean, they scheduled against top teams, UCLA, USC. They played them twice. They played Notre Dame. They played Rutgers. I know Rutgers sucks, but they're still a Big Five conference team. I really don't get what they could have done. And now because UCLA and USC and Notre Dame, and because UCLA had a down year, that they couldn't I'm losing my train of thought. Let me think for a second. Because UCLA had such a down year,
Right.
they didn't get the favoritism that they should have gotten for beating them. And because of that, their RPI stayed higher than it should have been. And then because they lost a couple conference games against teams like Canisius that had an RPI over 200, the RPI even flew even higher. I mean, it's not fair for the mid-major. You have to pretty much go undefeated in the regular season, and then you have to win your conference play. You can lose maybe a game in the regular season, but if you don't win your conference tournament, obviously you're not going to get an at-large bid, and that's what the committee proved today. I mean, Syracuse lost to freaking St. John's. I mean, come on. It's a joke. And Michigan barely beat Rutgers. They won all the games they had to win, but they lost every single game against a tournament team outside of Indiana on a last-second shot, and the next day they lose by 20. I mean, I really don't get why some of these teams made the tournament, but then I remember again that it all has to do with money, and that's the only reason why they got in, and that's why a team like Monmouth will never get in. And it always has to do with money, and it always has to do with ratings. That's why a team like Monmouth will never get in, and they should stop bothering scheduling against tough non-conference teams, because half the time those teams end up stinking, so then when Monmouth beats them, it doesn't matter. So what the hell's the point? It's just frustrating. And then you have idiots on Twitter saying, well, Monmouth only beat UCLA and Notre Dame and USC. Well, two out of the three are in the tournament. And do people realize how hard it is for a team like Monmouth to schedule a team like USC or UCLA? They have to travel 3,000 miles to begin with, because God forbid any of these schools go to Monmouth. They never will. Villanova just canceled their home with Monmouth a week ago. Terrible job by Villanova, and you know how I feel about Villanova. Just a terrible job.
Wow.
It's next to impossible for these mid-majors to schedule these against a top team, because why will a top team play Monmouth at Monmouth? They get nothing out of it. It's what are they going to do? Spend in the LT's house? I mean, come on. It's a waste of time. It's a waste of time for the mid-major. It's a waste of time for the power conference. The tournament, the way they should just do it by a computer now, because the committee fucks it up every year. Every year we're complaining about the same thing with the committee. They did this. They did that. They don't know what they're doing. Half the guys care about RPI. Half the guys care about non-conference schedule. Half the guys only care about the Power 5 conferences. And then there's a couple others who give a shit about the mid-major. And the mid-major never does anything, because they never get their due. And I'm going to be the clown that's picking Syracuse to win their first-round game. There's no way that Syracuse should have been a 10 seed. Come on. They lost to freaking St. John's. It's a joke, Dave.
Tom, I applaud you for your passion in this one tonight. I mean, this is the most passionate I've ever seen you on the show. This is, and you're right. I mean, this is atrocious what's happening here. I mean, I haven't followed Syracuse. I haven't followed really any college basketball. No, they do.
Enough. They lost to St. John's, Dave.
Enough about
all you need to know.
Syracuse.
No, I'm with you. I'm with you. They were so bad. I'm like, that's why I was shocked when I saw that they made it. First of all, and then getting a 10 seed, just outrageous.
Oh, but it's true. Tommy is right. It's a money grabber, and the committee is always going to lean towards the mediocre poo team in the top conference. So you see 19-13 Syracuse, 19-13 Pitt. Other years you'll see maybe and when the Big East is back to its normal ways, you'll see 19-13 Georgetown. You'll see a 19-13 Georgia Tech. You'll see a 19-14 Indiana. But you'll never see 29-4 St. Mary's. You'll never see. I think there's only been 1 year when 2 bids have come out of the MAC. The only time Mountain West. Maybe 3 years ago, the narrative early was like the Mountain West is deep this year. That's why they were able to get 4, maybe even 5 bids. But mostly it's a 2-bid, 3-bid league. That's just the way it is. One could say accept or move on. But, in this day and age, when every game practically is on TV, it gets the committee to be a fucking sponge, and you could take a fucking clown from the breakfast thread and replace them on the committee. Some of these picks are so clueless. And, you gotta have people watch these games from November to frickin' early March. And some of these conferences will just never get the attention or, respect that they deserve. Sometimes I feel like these narratives for conferences that aren't the Big Five are almost established, in the preseason, or a lot of stuff that happens in November will just have impact for the rest of the year. Case in point, Pac-12 2 years ago, everyone kind of did shitty in November and early December, and so it's like Pac-12 is weak this year. They're only going to get a couple bids, and that's what happened. This year, Pac-12, all these teams did really good in November and December, and so it was this conference is going to be deepest as ever. And they got 7 teams in the dance, and one of them wasn't even US. And UCLA wasn't one of them. UCLA always makes the tournament, so it's just hard for a team, a conference like either Mountain West, Metro, West Coast outside Gonzaga, Missouri Valley, to get real, traction, unless it's, a blue moon, and it's only going to be one of the conferences, and sometimes the storyline's almost, prefabricated, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I mean, we see some of this with college football too, but it's just not as bad because usually you're only deciding the top 4 spots. So there's controversy for sure, but it's not as bad as such a situation where you do everything right and you still don't make it in. And that's probably the worst error when it comes to guys being left out of the tournament.
College football isn't a good analogy because in college football you have to win every week, and every week matters.
Right.
With college basketball, the tournament is the only thing that matters, and the only reason why you're playing the regular season is A, for money, and B, to improve your resume to get into March.
Yeah.
That's a bit. I would actually like it more if they made the March Madness only 32 teams instead of 68. I think it's way too many teams. I mean, I love March Madness and all, but the regular season is almost meaningless now.
I would.
Outside of.
No, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Well, I was just saying. I was saying. I think I agree that 68 is too many. It would be a very interesting decision to roll it back. I've never seen anybody roll anything back. We expand a playoff for anything.
It's not. It'll never do that. It's too much money.
Yeah,
look at all the
too much
commercials.
money. They get too much money. The brackets are huge. They're making billions of dollars on these brackets. Just like the college football, that's gonna be an 18 playoff.
Oh, it is. I agree with that. I don't like it.
It's gonna be 16.
Yeah. Oh, you think it's gonna be 16? Wow.
I think eventually. I think maybe in 10 years it'll be 16.
Well, see, then all of a sudden, if that's true, I think the regular season for college football will be just like college basketball. It'll be the same thing now.
Right. It's going to be like Texas high school football, where it's going to be like a huge playoff, and it's going to be a huge deal, and it's all about that. It'd be about money.
Yeah, that sucks.
I mean,
But you're right.
One more thing about Syracuse before we move on.
Right.
Tell me if I'm a fool, but did someone say that one of the committee members that because Boeheim was suspended, those losses didn't count? Was that true, or is that just a rumor?
I don't know, Andy. Would you know?
I don't know if that was an exact quote. Listen, I just know he was suspended in the beginning of the year. They limped into the ACC tournament with him coaching, and then they lost a game which many pegged to be, win or die against Pitt. And if you are a team that's flirting on the bubble, on that razor sharp, thin edge, and you frickin' shit the bed until Jamie Dixon just allows, I'm also, Pittsburgh can go to hell too because they almost gave that game away, Cardwell tight style. And, they in the biggest spot, they came up short, and they still got bailed out anyway by, curmudgeon committee.
I don't get how they're not one of the final four teams to make it, too. What the hell is that? I really don't understand how their resume translate into not being one of the final four. That made zero sense.
Wichita State got hosed, and they had to play in a play-in game, and, called it. They embarrassed Vanderbilt, and now they play Arizona, and that line's even. So Arizona is a 6 seed, and now they're playing a team that had to go in the play-in game as one of the last 4 teams to make it, and now it's an even line. So, our Mike's right about Wichita State. Arizona probably will beat them, but, they're a good team. They don't have any big guys that can compete with the stiffs that Arizona have this year.
Yeah, Wichita State's a very good team, but Baker hasn't been shooting that well lately. I know he's a very good player. He'll probably get drafted in the NBA late second round or something, but I know Baker and Van Fleet are good players, but they're pretty much the whole team. And if Baker has a bad shooting night, it's over.
Yeah, that's all they got. That's all they are. And Marshall, the coach, but he's not playing. He's coaching.
Good deal, fellas.
You know who I kind of like is Florida Gulf Coast. They looked pretty good yesterday. They could scare.
North Carolina? Maybe not for 40 minutes, but
not 40 minutes. But I bet, and by halftime it'll be single digit.
But the question
You're
comes
not wrong.
up.
They're not going to lose. But the problem with Florida Gulf Coast this year, they weren't even the favorite to win the Atlantic Sun. North Florida was. North Florida was actually giving points in that conference final, and Florida Gulf Coast won by like 33. And North Florida played in the NIT last night against Florida. The game was at North Florida. It's in Jacksonville, so Gainesville and Jacksonville are like right next to each other. I'm sure the Gators just threw them.
Well, I got some intel on that game, Andy, and the Gators had their way with the shooting. Apparently, the defense wasn't very good. Now, who was it that was? Yeah, because Florida wasn't scoring very well this season. This is what I was reading, and they were making all these shots against Florida Gulf Coast. So that was a little. I'm sorry, North Florida. Excuse me, North Florida. So that was kind of an interesting situation. But this segues to the. Let's see what happened. Andy dropped off the line. I didn't notice you were off the line, Andy. Sorry. Welcome back.
Yeah, we must have had a bad connection or something. So we're back.
Anyway, you raised some
organized.
You
raised some interesting intel though about the Atlantic Sun, was it the Atlantic Sun Conference? And
I'm just babbling around. Florida Gulf Coast, it's not the same team that beat Georgetown and went to the Sweet 16, 3 years ago, whatever. They weren't the favorite to win the tournament this year.
Well, I'll tell you what. This could be cheeky scheduling by the committee, but if they do the big move and then a historic, unprecedented 16 beating a 1, and they beat North Carolina, they could play USC in the next round. The team coached by Andy Enfield. He used to coach Florida Gulf Coast.
Yeah, well, but I think probably
Dave, if that happens, Dave, if that happens, I'll fly to California and hang out with you for a week. There's no way that's going to happen.
I
but
know,
yeah,
I know. I agree.
I think they could hang with North Carolina for a little while.
Mm-hmm.
Not saying they're going to win or anything, but I think they could cover. I think the spread's 24.
It's huge.
I think they could cover. I think they could cover, and I think they could scare little Glendale for about 20 minutes.
Good deal. Yeah, I mean, look, I like them a lot. I'll tell you, I have them going really far. I'll tell you how far in the second hour when we do the bracket by bracket breakdown. But I do like North Carolina a lot in this tournament, even though I haven't seen them play very much. But really, I think this a very talented team from what little I have seen of the team. So it's a good watch. In terms of the 16 beating the 1, there's been a lot of speculation that this could finally be the year that a 16 beats a 1.
No, not
You don't think so?
happening.
You don't think it's happening? Okay.
Villanova's not a 1, so it's not happening.
It's not happening. I'm sorry, Holy Cross is not beating Oregon, and Hampton is not beating Virginia. Florida Gulf Coast is not going to beat North Carolina, because that's like Florida Gulf Coast is like the 1-cent version of UNC. It's go, go, go.
Mm-hmm.
And Kansas is not losing to Austin Peay. Not earth-shattering, but everyone it's a fun conversation to have, but like it's not going to happen. It's just like some of these in football when you have a team from the Sun Belt or the MAC play a team from the big conference. Maybe for a half they'll hang around, but the depth, the size, it just catches up to these smaller schools. And these small schools that are good, they don't have like big men either. They have a big man that's too slow and he gets in foul trouble early. So they just get dominated eventually, in the span of 40 minutes. They just run out of gas.
Andy, let me ask you this. Now, you don't like Holy Cross, am I right?
I'm indifferent to Holy Cross. I hate BC. Holy Cross, they're just okay. Holy Cross.
And you like Oregon, right?
I do like Oregon.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how pissed would you be if Oregon lost to Holy Cross?
Oh man.
It would be more comical than pissed, because Holy Cross, they were 5-13 in the Patriot League. They were in the play-in game of their conference tournament. So
I know.
It would literally be ant beating the shoe. Hard to imagine. And it can't get worse. Last year anything is better than last year when you had anyone that had Iowa State win it at all. But
no, don't get me started on Iowa State from last year. I'm still pissed at you and John in Connecticut for making me think that Iowa State would be anything last year. They suck. And my bracket was finished in day 1.
You weren't the only one. See, how far do you got Iowa State going this year? You got them losing to Iona or going to...
I have Iona in the Sweet 16.
Yeah. Problem is Iowa State and Iona...
Iowa State.
Iowa State's the same thing as Iona, basically. No defense, just offense. So...
You know how I feel about Iowa State.
I know. Well...
I'm never picking them again.
It's gonna be it's gonna be Mongo basketball. That's the whole tournament in a nutshell. Like college basketball, out of all these other sports that we watch and make a lot of money, big entertainment value, it's the sport that offers the most Mongo moments, because the kids are 18, 19, 20 years old, they get tight. There's 5 guys on the court, so just as easy as these teams can get hot and feed off one another's momentum, one guy gets tight. The other, how many times do you see in these college games under 5 minutes left, just the most routine plays go astray? Butterfingers, the inbound pass, the guy can't even catch an entry pass outlet, it goes out of bounds. Just, that's why part of watching can get real frustrating, or it's a lot of fun, but. You definitely see a lot of Mongo moments. Guys get tight at the free throw line, and then you get guys like LT being like, well, no one can make their free throws anymore. The bigger issue is these 19-year-old dudes. First, this is the biggest moment in their lives from an athletic standpoint.
Right.
They get tight, you know?
Right. We have to remember that they're amateurs. But that brings up a whole other thing where I think the college game is down collectively. I mean, college basketball isn't that great right now. I mean, do you remember in like 95, 96 watching Allen Iverson and Ray Allen and playing college basketball? I mean, the game was so much better than I thought. Maybe it's just because I'm thinking about the good old days. I just feel like the game was so much better then than it is now. I don't know why it is. Maybe it's because of the one and dones. A lot of these kids don't give a shit about college. Obviously, Ben Simmons didn't give a shit. He didn't want to really play at LSU. He has his own issues, but I mean, I just feel like the college game isn't that great right now. And I know your next guest, Dave, is going to be talking about how great college basketball is and such. But the product is not that great. I mean, open your eyes. Do you agree, Andy?
Well, it depends. There's pros and cons. I don't know how to compare it to like the 90s, but you know, the game has definitely evolved. The 3-point line in both professional and college is utilized a lot more. So, in the 3-point line compared to the NBA, it's so short. So, guys are either swingmen in college or either taking threes or slashing, and then sometimes like the talented big guys are playing in an up and down tempo, they get overlooked. So, you know, a guy that's going to be a star in the NBA, you know, some games he'll get like 5 field goal attempts because, you know, the swingmen and the guards were just shooting all game. And no one has a mid-range game. You know, now we're sounding like, cranky fuck. So without going too crazy. But in college now, you know, there's not a lot of teams that stay intact for more than 2 years because of the one-and-done fascination. So to borrow a phrase, the gelling process can be very sporadic, year to year, team to team. You know, Calipari, he gets McDonald's after McDonald's after McDonald's, but different years, the teams either click much better than others. And this year it's very inconsistent. So, you know, it's night to night. You don't know which gel is going to show up, the fancy gel or the, you know, Rite Aid brand gel. Last year, the gel lasted from early November all the way to the semifinals before Wisconsin and all those clowns like Decker and Kaminsky had to ruin the fun for anybody that wanted to see Kentucky run the table. And then the year before that, they were pretty good with the Harrison twins the first time around. So then, you know, Izzo, this team, I guess if you want to be a basketball purist and watch a team that's got the gel, that's got the experience, that's got the teamwork, the Izzo team would be one because, you know, Valentine's been there forever. They've got some young guys in the pipeline. They share the ball. Everyone, you know, no one ever says a bad thing about Izzo. So that's a team that I guess you could say this is a good product. And Virginia, Virginia's boring. They're fucking boring to watch. And I think eventually will get exposed in the tournament because they rely so much on defense, and they were going to get screwed one of these rounds when the ticky-tack ref comes into play, and that defense and the hand-checking is going to all pile up, and then their opponent is going to go to the free throw line and make a bonanza in that department.
Well, just look at the national champion Duke from last year to this year. I mean, Grayson Allen was coming off the bench last year, and this year he's the leading scorer and averaging 22 a game. And the next best player is a freshman who is 18 years old.
He's gone after
this year. And then a team that you like Cal, who has like 3 McDonald's All-Americans and 1 senior. I mean, they were a completely different team last year, and this year they're going to be a 4 seed in the tournament, and they're very athletic, and they have a ton of NBA talent. I mean, all these teams are very different. I mean, you said it. Virginia is one of the few teams, and Villanova another team, where they have all these players that always stay all 4 years. And actually, Kansas has Selden and Perry
Sheldon
Ellis
and
or
Perry
whatever.
Ellis. Yeah, bingo.
Yeah,
So
they got a lot of players that are experienced, but it just seems like every year, like a team like Duke and Kentucky, it's just new players every year, and maybe I like it to a degree, but it's not the same. I think the product gets ruined because of it, because there's no cohesion whatsoever on these teams, and the basketball itself feels like it's not that great.
it's funny, like Duke coach. You know, you ask the average guy that might not be the biggest sports fan, and they'll associate Calipari with like cheating and slimy and just, you know, rubs people the wrong way. And then you ask the same guy about Coach K, and they'll go, he coaches the right way. He's classy. He's Duke. He's American apple pie. But they do one and done just as much as Kentucky. I'm sorry. You know, one's Duke, one's Kentucky. But you know, you're right. Every team with those particular programs, it's a new leaf. It's a new set of trees, and you got to basically be a historian or just a big fan of those programs to like get attached to them, or just be a gambler, or just a degenerate to pay attention to like North Carolina, like the entire roster from year in to year out, because you don't get attached to them like you would with some of the other teams you root for. Like you're a Giants fan, Eli through thick and thin. The North Carolina fan, he's got Marcus Page for a bunch of years, but the one and done's not so much.
Well, North Carolina struggles with their recruiting of late the last couple of years, if you haven't noticed. But the one-and-done players all seem to go to the same three schools, and Duke seems to be one of them now. They either go to Duke, Kentucky, or Kansas. And I guess you could throw in Cal from this past year, because they're probably going to have a bunch of one-and-dones. But
Cal's got
it's
two.
almost
Rab and Jaylen Brown are both probably going pro after this year. Jabari Bird was at McDonald's, but he's been hurt.
You don't think Bird's going?
Bird only averages like 9 a game. He's basically been a little underwhelming. But Rob's going and Brown are going. Those are the two freshmen they got.
Yeah, I think Bird could go too, just because of his size and his athleticism. But we'll see.
Yeah.
Well, fellas,
Arizona gets a bunch of sneaky one and dones too, but they're all kind of like projects. And I don't know. I'm down on Arizona this year. Usually I like them, but this year, Tarczewski he disappears too many times. Gabe York's kind of like reminds me of Momo Jones. More disciplined Momo Jones, but I don't know. They lack a little bit of the stuff that they usually have year in and year out. But I guess next year they're going to be loaded again. So Sean Miller, you have to make a Final Four. Everyone keeps waiting for him to do it.
He still hasn't made one. That's right. Forgot about that. Yeah, long time. That was really really good stuff, fellas. I really enjoy when we have these conversations, because it really brings a lot of ideas to the fore. And one I wanted to bring up was the prospect of dark horses from the tournament. Who do you think could be the dark horse candidates to make a big run in this year's NCAA basketball tournament? I'll start with Tommy.
Well, I got Iona going to the Sweet 16. Let me think who else. You don't consider Texas A&M to be a dark horse, right?
No, I don't think so, because I think I had him on the list here. No, probably not, but I wouldn't really know. I think I would defer to Andy on that ruling.
Just name them off. Name them off.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not looking at my bracket right now, so I can't tell you who I have that's a 10 or lower off the top of my head advancing to the Sweet 16. But I know I have Iona going to the Sweet 16, and I know I'm a fool, and I have Syracuse winning their first-round game as a 10. And that goes against everything I believe. But after listening to Mike at 5:05 today, everybody has Syracuse losing in the first round, so I'm going with his opinion. and picking Syracuse to win their first round game. And it's not a big deal. It's a 7-10 game. I mean, picking a 10 over a 7 is not a big deal. You're looking at the 12-5. I didn't pick Yale, and then you're looking at like the 13 and 4s. I don't think I picked a 13. What seed is Iona? Is Iona 13? So yeah, I picked Iona. I don't know what else to tell you, Dave. What's dark horses?
Well,
another. I really don't. A lot of people have Yale. First of all, I don't get how Yale was a 12 seed, but whatever. I mean, maybe a few Ivy Leaguers paid some of the committee members. Maybe a few Ivy Leaguers are on the committee. That's another thing about a stupid committee. No one knows who's on the committee except for a couple guys, and the committee changes every year. They should just go to the computer. They should just go to the computer at this point. It's a waste of time. But a lot of people have Yale. I'm not going to tell you I know a lot about Yale because I don't. But I don't have Yale winning. Maybe Andy does. Andy, who do you have as a dark horse?
Well, I don't. I mean, what's a dark horse? This year's so weird. There's no. Traditionally, these number one seeds are like 34-2, 33-3, 31-4, 32-5. But now, every one seed, outside Kansas got 4 more losses. North Carolina's got 6. Oregon's got 6. Virginia's got 7. So, what's a dark horse? Well, people might think Utah's a dark horse, so they don't watch a lot of Pac-12 basketball, but they're a 3 seed. People might think Xavier's a dark horse because it's Xavier. It's not a school. The college basketball fan knows Xavier, but Bobby, Bach in the office, he's just like, Xavier, why are they a 2 this year? Like, oh, okay. Like, well, they're usually in, right? So put them in. Miami, are they a sleeper? They're a 3 seed. A lot of people don't think of Miami when they're filling out brackets, even though they're like a pretty good basketball team, second tier in the ACC. Dayton, they're a 7 seed. Well, Tommy already talked about them. And watch Syracuse win, and then it'll be like big finger to the doubters behind the best. You fucking pandering fuck. You look like fucking Beaker in the Muppets. San Diego State usually could be a sleeper, but they're not in there this year. Seton Hall. Tommy can agree with Seton Hall. I guess you could put them sleeper status, but I love them over Gonzo. You look at teams that have been hot going into the conference tournaments, and then, it's hindsight's 20/20. But after the fact, once they lose, like, oh, they peaked too soon, or like, oh, they're peaking at the right time. West Virginia, if you can have them go deep. You can see them get into the Elite 8. Some people might have them in the Final 4. They're a 3 seed, but. Traditionally you don't think of a team like West Virginia getting a 3 seed, maybe a 5 seed or a 6 seed. SFA, a lot of people like SFA, but the problem is they're playing a team that they're like a carbon copy of West Virginia. They play up and down, pressure defense, kind of like VCU, press. So what happens if you run the same style to a team that's got more, so SFA could be in trouble despite their sleeper status.
Andy, what do you think of AP, Austin P?
Austin P? Well, I actually watched Austin P. I think their conference is like the, I don't know if it's the Southland or something, but I watched the game, Middle Tennessee State and Morehead State. In Austin P was
you
playing
watched
before
that
them.
game?
We had money on it. It was like 2 Fridays ago. Ban me.
Oh my God.
Ban me. Hall pass. But they're not gonna.
Did you watch the whole game or just part of it?
Most of the whole game. Got dinner at halftime.
Were you like before the game? I gotta get all pumped up because I'm about to watch Austin.
I was pumped up because it was something. I was pumped up because it was something to gamble on. You can Google it. It was Morehead State versus somebody. It was in that conference, and Austin P was playing before that. Before the game, it was a doubleheader on like ESPN 2 or U, like 2 Friday nights ago.
Did you win your money?
Yeah, I won the bet. And my buddy was like, "Your girlfriend gonna judge you because you're watching this this meaningless game?" And I was like, "Yeah, it doesn't. My girlfriend knows nothing about college basketball, so if I told her I was watching college basketball, whether it's Duke versus Virginia or Austin Peay and Middle Tennessee State, it doesn't affect how she judges either way. So
she still thinks you're a loser regardless, right?
The less you know. Well, yeah, sure. So I picked my spot. So I think I embellished it a little bit. Oh, we watched some basketball. Chatted.
All right, very, very nice, fellas. So now, let's see. Is it too early to ask about your Final Four? No, it's not. Let's get your predictions. So, who do you have as your Final Four this year? If you don't have it yet, that's fine too. I'm just wondering where you're at with the predictions in your bracket. I don't even know. Should I even ask this? Because if we're all in that pool, I feel like we might be just.
Everyone's gonna find out tomorrow at 9 a.m. West Coast time.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. It doesn't matter.
All right,
it's your show. Ask whatever you want.
Let us
shooting the shit.
Let's roll it out, Danny. I'll go with you first. Who do you have as your Final Four?
I've got 3 Mongos and 1, steady. Kansas, anti-Bill Self, Kansas. Oregon, anti-Dana Altman. I mean, his bad shadow's got to show up at some point, but we got Oregon. Kentucky, and a terrible SEC. That's another thing I forgot to bring up. SEC has been atrocious this year.
Yep.
They have 2 teams in the tournament now, Texas A&M and Kentucky. But we're still Mongols. We're going to have Kentucky go to the Final Four because when they're good, when Tyler Uli is Tyler Uli, I mean, there might be no better guard than him. And it's with these young teams, as we've alluded to, and it's so hard to win 6 games. All it takes is one bad stretch of basketball in between media timeouts, and your fucking season's over. So, it's just a tight margin of error. In Kentucky, we got them, and then we got Michigan State.
It's tough to pick against Michigan State. They've proven it time and time again, getting in the Final Four. Diddle's a great coach, so that's a nice Final Four. Andy, let's go to Tom. Who are your Final Four predictions?
All right, my Final Four predictions might put Andy in a coma of being in shock. I got Cal. When I've been just destroying the Pac-12 all year. I have Cal beating Villanova in the Elite Eight, which sounds stupid, and I should just burn my money right now because there's no chance I'm winning the tournament. I got Cal, I got Texas A&M, I got Michigan State, although I might switch that to Virginia because I think Virginia matches up well against Michigan State. Even though Michigan State beat Virginia, I think Virginia could win that game. And I also have Kentucky, like Andy. I think Calipari's on a mission. I think I say this to you every year, Dave. It's more to do with the coaching than the players when it comes to the tournament. That's why you don't trust Bill Self. That's why you don't trust Jay Wright. That's why you trust Tom Izzo. That's why you trust Coach K. That's why you don't trust Roy Williams. You always trust the same coaches every year that do well in the tournament. Tom Izzo, you give him a bunch of high school kids, and he'll advance to the Sweet 16. I mean, come on.
That's
it's
a
Tom
great.
Izzo. He's the best tournament coach. I don't think there's anyone close to him. With the talent, I know he gets top talent, but he doesn't get Kentucky talent. He doesn't get North Carolina talent.
He doesn't get blue chip talent all the time.
Yeah, he doesn't get the top of the top talent, and he always does well in the tournament. I think maybe once in 10 years he doesn't get out of the first round, but that's why I'm leaning towards Michigan State over UVA. But the team I'm really worried about is Cal. I mean, picking them to go to the Final Four just screams Iowa State from last year. Like,
Well, it's risk reward. Watch them lose to Hawaii tomorrow. It's risk reward.
I'm saying to myself, don't do it, Debbie. Don't do it. Like, you know whose bracket I really wish I could see? Who does really well in the bracket every year? My bracket is fuck him. It's Under Disaster. He does well every year in my bracket. And I don't even know how much college basketball he watches. But I remember always looking at his bracket and being like, why didn't I pick them? Like, I picked way too many upsets in the first round. So I'm just giving away points.
Well,
so
it's
this
funny.
year, I did a lot more chalk.
That strategy works and might pay off in like a space-age scoring system. It's like your NFL league is like the opposite of how you run your pool. I like your pool is traditional 192. Too many pools have like, here's a round one multiplier, like, and there's not only do you add the seed, you multiply the seed. Round two, you triple the seed and add the multiplier. It's just too many points. Like the winner with 4,400 points. Like that's too many. That's too many. But if you do pick a lot of upsets, then you get a lot more, punch for your power for your punch, basically.
Yeah, with the traditional bracket, you have to worry. You have to worry about your first round games because everybody's always very close together. I feel like points wise, and those one or two games that you pick in the first round where you're just half-assing it, and you're like, oh, I'm going to pick this guy, and it's probably going to be Iona this year. Iona's probably going to lose by 30 now, but you have to pick some upsets, but you just have to hope you get them right, and you have to hope you don't pick that many upsets. You can't pick that many because you're not going to win most of them.
It's a lot of fun, though, when they do come in. I was such an anti-Georgetown. I'm usually anti-Georgetown. I had Florida Gulf Coast like that 2 years ago, and I was like, called it!
Oh,
you know,
yeah,
there's nothing. Friday.
There's nothing better than that.
Yeah. But I didn't have...
There's nothing better than the one time you get it right, and you're like, oh, everybody else got it wrong, but I got it right, and you remember that for years.
Like, didn't they... I don't have the book in front of me, but... So, they were a 4 seed, and then I forgot who they beat after that. It was, the winner of the 7-10 game. But I think they played in the Sweet 16 like a team like, it might have been like a 14 seed or someone that wasn't, or like an 11 seed. Did they play Tennessee? Someone should Google that. Dave, if you got a turn of the computer in front of you. But I think the way it worked out, I think Florida Gulf Coast played like another low seed.
I think
they
that
did
was
play
the last,
That's right.
That was the last year Martin was the coach at Tennessee.
Well, I know they beat Georgetown in the beginning, right? Was that the first one?
Oh, yeah, that was on a Friday night.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out who they played in the round of Sweet 16.
Okay, working on it. Give me a second here. I'll get this.
I think it is Tennessee because Martin left right after that, didn't he?
Yeah, well, that year Tennessee, they were an 11 seed. I remember they beat UMass, and then they played.
Okay.
Maybe Tennessee played a 14 seed that year.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I don't think it was Tennessee. I have it up here. Yeah, I have it now. So they beat Georgetown. The next game they played was San Diego State, and they were ranked number 7. Then they played Florida in the Sweet 16.
Ooh,
so
Florida. All right, fun house.
Did we lose Andy? Hello?
That Florida Gulf Coast, Andy left?
I think his line got cut off or something, but go ahead about Florida Gulf Coast.
Yeah, that Florida Gulf Coast team had a lot of talent.
Yeah.
And I remember watching them thinking, they got like Big East talent, and what the hell are all these kids doing here?
And
like, I don't know how they got all those athletic players, but they did. And
they did.
That was a fun team to watch.
Very fun. There's nothing like those couple of days in the opening, the opening 32 of basically the first half of the tournament. It was really a lot of fun, and really, that's one that you'll remember for years too. Like you said, like those kind of upsets. You remember them for a very long time. So, really good stuff. And we have Andy back on the line with us. So, yeah, Andy, we're just wrapping up the point on Florida Gulf Coast.
Yeah, funhouse me.
All right, very good. So let's just give it to final thoughts on the tournament, and then we'll close it up for tonight. Final thoughts, Andy, from for this year's basketball tournament.
Well, it's just a heck of a lot of fun. Tomorrow is one of my favorite days to be at the office. I don't do a lot of work. Take a long lunch, watch a lot of basketball, gamble on a lot of games. There's really nothing to complain about. And at St. Patrick's Day is a little bonus. So we might have a little corned beef and cabbage with our afternoon fix of first-round dance action. So, everyone gets in it. Francesca does the exact play-by-play. Twitter goes bonkers. And it is wide open. Even when it's pretty chalky, it's still considered a wide open event because, you got to win 6 games in a row. It's really freaking hard. I mean, it's like the NFL playoffs, right? One and done. So obviously the sport is. Francesca's right when he's like the regular season is almost meaningless. Like we pay attention because we're degenerates. We like to gamble on it, so it's something to do. But it's all about the tournament. So that's why it's a big spot for Jay Wright. It's a big spot for Bill Self. It's a big spot for some of these one-and-done players, their last chance to showcase to scouts before they shut it down and hand-wave class, which they've already hand-waved. So just, enjoy it and just embrace the dance. Don't be a Captain No Fun and be like, such a waste of time. Enjoy it.
Absolutely. It's, for all that we see throughout the season, this is where the sport really shines this month of March. So should be a good time. Tom, any final thoughts regarding the basketball tournament?
I have to mention Villanova for at least 10 seconds. It's Jay Wright and Villanova that do not get out of the second round this year. I am done watching Villanova next year. I cannot go through another year where they do great in the regular season and then shit the bed in the tournament in the opening weekend. And I don't want to hear about how it's all about matchups and they had a bad matchup. Second round, Iowa, Temple. If they play Temple, they play them every fucking year. Don't tell me about matchups. You just beat them by 30 3 weeks ago. If you lose to Temple in the second round, it's a disgrace. It's a city rival. You have to win that game. I don't want to hear it. You better win, Jay. That's all I have to say.
All right, Andy. Tommy putting his foot down. Let me just get this quickly. Gun to your head on this, Andy. Do you see Villanova making it out of this first weekend?
They should. They really should. But I have a recency bias, historical bias against Jay Wright. Ever since I was – but outside of that team, what was 2005 when they went to the Final Four? Maybe they did it in 2009, but I get those two – the Scotty Reynolds team is what I remember. I think that might have been 2005. But I just, for the life of me, cannot trust Villanova. So, good luck, but I have Iowa. We'll see what happens.
Okay.
You're a jackass.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Guys, this has been a lot of fun. Enjoy the tournament, and good luck to your brackets as well. And I'm going to check up another disasters bracket throughout the entire month just to see exactly where that thing ends up, too. So it'll be good times. Guys, enjoy. It'll be a really, really fun, and this was really fun. So take care of yourselves. We'll do it again sometime soon. Thank you. Take care.
All right, thanks. Good luck, guys.
All right, fellas. That's it for Andy and Tom, and that'll do it for hour number 1. We continue Dave in the City at 8:01.
We love talking sports. Dave in the City.
Oh, we have Chris in Syracuse joining us in just a few seconds. And we will then get into the meat of this analysis. We will look at all the teams and all the predictions from all of the regions, the South, the East, the West, and the Midwest. If you heard WFAN today on the radio, you had Mike Francesa just tearing apart the West. But you look at the West bracket, and I'm like, what is he complaining about? You got Texas in there. Texas A&M's not that bad. Oklahoma's one of the favorites to represent in the Final Four. And Oregon. And I think the crux of Francesa's dislike of the Western region is Oregon. And I'm like, why? They had a great year. They steamrolled everybody in the Pac-12 tournament. They are rightly deserving of the 1 seed. They should be here. It's just kind of a strange thing that he did, just putting down Oregon all out of the blue. It didn't make much sense to me, personally speaking. But here we are. So that's the West. The South, you have the East. Looks like the East looks like the one that's got a really, really, really tight bracket. North Carolina's in there. You have Indiana, and Indiana's not that good this year, so I'm not worried about them. Don't sleep on USC. I just think that they're fun, and I haven't seen much of them myself, which is terrible. I really should. This is my team, basically. But that team has had a great job, has done wonderfully this year. They've played really well at Galen Center. And Andy Enfield's recruits starting to really fill in their spaces. It's a very, very good team. And they'll have a tough test. They're going to play Providence in the first round tomorrow, round of 64. If they get past that, suddenly they play North Carolina. We're pretty much writing in North Carolina now at this point. You know, as fun as you can think, as fun as we've had with Florida Gulf Coast, it's really tough to imagine them beating North Carolina. So much like Tommy, I think that'll be a game that they'll keep close, but it's probably not going to be anything serious beyond that. So also in the bracket, Notre Dame, and I think if people are just skipping over Notre Dame, those guys can shoot threes. West Virginia, Stephen F. Austin, Wisconsin, Xavier. We'll get into all the details of the East bracket as we get Chris on the program with us. So, and I overlook Xavier too. I think Xavier could be good. I wouldn't know. I haven't really seen them, but I think Chris can fill in the details on that. Midwest bracket, a couple notables. We had already teased this in the first hour. Virginia against Michigan State. It's going to be a pretty good defensive battle, and Tom's right. And I think, or maybe it was Andy, they both were talking about how Michigan State beat Virginia in the regular season matchup, and I remember seeing the end of that game on ESPN. So it was a very interesting call, but it was a close game. It was a tough call, and it's not as if Virginia can't play against Michigan State. It's going to be very tight. So, picking a winner in that game, that basically is going to be what will decide the Midwest region. Because, you look at it, these are the most experienced teams and most experienced coaches in that bracket. Outside of that, you're looking at Texas Tech, which made the tournament for the first time in years. I think they haven't been in there since 2007. You have Butler, who's, not the Butler of old, and it's not really the same team. Brad Stevens is now in the Celtics in the NBA. Purdue, don't know what to say about them. Iowa State with a different coach. We spoke at length already about Iowa State, Iona. Seton Hall having a nice run. I'm hoping they beat Gonzaga, but personally, I don't see it happening. Even though I honestly think that Seton Hall has more upside at this point than Gonzaga does. I just don't trust them. They've burned me enough times in brackets of the past. Utah's pretty good. Dayton's not bad. They really should beat Syracuse, honestly. And, of course, Michigan State. So I think that Virginia and Michigan State would be the head and shoulders above the rest in the Midwest. And it takes us to the South, where Kansas, UConn, Cal, and maybe Villanova could have a say in this tournament. Some have also speculated that Maryland could be a dark horse in this bracket. We will see if the South Regional has some big upsets in it. But interestingly enough, I'm looking pretty highly on Cal as well. Got a lot of talent. So I'll show you exactly how far I have them going in a little bit. So let's wait for a moment as we get our friend Chris in Syracuse on the line. I don't know. Maybe I didn't give him the right number. Let me see. All right, just a second. Okay, let's go ahead and get this started. All right. Sorry about the delay, everybody. Let's do this thing. He should be ready to should be dialing us at any moment. Let's do this thing. So, let's see. Do you have any music for the occasion? Let's see. Any music? Nope. No music. But this tournament begins tomorrow, and it will really... this is where all the excitement begins, isn't it? It's very, very exciting. And so now let's continue our conversation with Chris in Syracuse once he calls in. Bit of a late start, I suppose. Well, I mean, it's late at night, so it's all good. We'll have that worked out in a little bit. Why we wait for him to call? I'll have you know, I'm simmering a corned beef brisket in keeping with the St. Patrick's Day tradition. I've done this every year for the last 2 years. This is the third year I'm simmering the corned beef, and it's in the pot right now. So we've got about an hour to go with the corned beef brisket. It's pretty exciting. I'm going to take it out and slice it, have some corned beef sandwiches for dinner. And this time around, I got a good bread to go with it. I went and oh, hang on a second. I got to give the number to my friend Chris. It's been a while. It's been a while. We're getting our friend Chris out of the mothballs. So, I think I got that right. 25325. Okay. 424-253-0251 if you guys ever want to call on the show. Go ahead. Dial it up. It's a Skype number, so if you dial it when we're not on the show, you can leave a voicemail message and have a hot take or something. No, don't do a hot take. I'm just kidding. But certainly we want to hear from you regarding the program, and you're welcome to drop a voicemail with us if you're not calling during show operating hours. So while we get that lined up, yeah, that corned beef brisket's still simmering, and this time around I went and I got a loaf of bread. You know, give me a minute. I'm gonna go get it. Can you hang on for a sec? Just a second here. Let me grab this. Let me just grab this for a sec. Let me think. Be right back. All right, so you see right here, if you're watching on TV, this rye bread I acquired from a place called Izzy's. Look how big this thing is. This thing is enormous, and it's so dense too. I carried it, and it's really heavy. But it's a really good bread. I had a couple slices already. I sampled it with some pastrami to start the evening. Now, I ordered just a few slices, but the man cutting the pastrami over at the deli actually gave me half a pound. So I'm like, oh, wow, I got a half a pound of pastrami. And it just looked so beautiful on the scale. I was like, yeah, I'll just take it. So I took it home, and so I've had that first. I'm going to end up having pastrami and corned beef tonight. But it's, I think together it'll amount to the meat that you would use in a typical corned beef sandwich at the restaurant. So the sandwich wasn't huge, and we'll have another one about the same size with corned beef that I made myself. So I'm very excited. It'll be a little hybrid night of pastrami and corned beef, and we'll have a pretty good time. It may even save some for tomorrow. Have a little fun with that. See how that goes, and then just see what we are up to. Just a sec. I think I may have messed up the number. Oh, okay. Just a sec. I think I got this. We'll be right back. We'll give it to you in just a moment. We'll be right back here. While we wait, here's Jeremy Piscataway from a few years ago.
Cap, Yankee thoughts. Your thoughts on the season. I haven't even talked to you.
Chat about this, Billy.
All right, you've got the floor. What's
I'm
it?
not even going to get into the Detroit series because let me tell you this. I went to 2 playoff games. I saw 22 innings, and I saw 1 earned run. 1 earned run in 22 innings. Paid $45 for parking, paid for my ticket, had to buy left fucking 4 cheeseburgers every.
All right, that was a good story, but we're back on the line now, and let's go ahead and bring in Chris in Syracuse. He's now joining us on the program, and my apologies for the number miscue earlier. How are you, Chris? Welcome back to the show.
Thanks. I'm doing well. Don't apologize to me. Apologize to whoever I just woke up or whatever.
Oh, no.
Sounded like I just woke somebody up.
I am so sorry. Oh, my gosh. That is so funny.
I was like, oops.
What on earth did I just do? How did I come up with that other number? Oh, I don't know. I am so sorry. Well, gosh, I apologize to that person. Wherever he, I guess somewhere in Santa Monica, but where? Oops, my fault. Anyway, it's been a while. What's new with you, Chris?
Not much. Oh my God, this game's killing me. Killing me.
You have definitely crossed that picket line. And you are now part of the group, let's say, taking some action on the games, let's say. I'm not going to go into detail, but you have selected, let's just say you selected, hypothetically, Michigan.
Certain scenarios.
Yeah, seriously. And now they're up by the requisite 2 points, but that's only a push.
Right.
Well, it's gettable, but it's going to be painstaking the whole way, so good luck, my friend.
All right, so what's going on?
Yeah, quite crazy. So anyway, we were in our last hour. We weren't really covering like the tournament itself so much as we were covering the selection, and basically, I wanted to get your thoughts on the same selection process. And certainly, some very capable teams got left out of the mix. Did you have a problem with the selection process, and who do you think should have made the tournament, and who should have not made the tournament instead of the ones that were selected in their place?
Well, as much as they're in the mix right now, I definitely don't think Tulsa should have been selected.
Yeah, that's a good choice. Yeah,
I think they're the worst pick in the field. I'm not a fan of Vanderbilt. Not even a fan of Syracuse. But you know, the only out of the 4 that everyone's talking about, I think 2 have cases to get in, and that being St. Bonaventure and Monmouth, and I don't want to hear about St. Mary's and Valpo. I mean, they're just, I just don't hold them in the same regard. You might as well put Pitt and Vandy and Syracuse in the tournament anyway.
Question on that though. They did beat Gonzaga 2 times. Would that not have been enough of a weighting factor for you?
It's well, Gonzaga was barely a top 50 team. They would have been if St. Mary's had won the West Coast Conference tournament, there would have been the same back and forth issue on if Gonzaga should have made it at large.
Ooh, right.
So it's not really the best. They didn't go out of California in their non-conference. In fact, the only road trip they made, I mentioned to you, was the long 20-minute trip from Moraga to Berkeley, and lost by. And they gave a credible account of themselves, but nobody went into Haas Pavilion this year and beat the Bears. So I don't know. It just was. It wasn't there like it was there for Monmouth, like it was there for St. Bonaventure with the wins against quality opponents, and of course the conference hurt them.
Yeah.
Especially with Gonzaga not being so good, there really wasn't much of a third team there to help. Whereas the A-10 was fairly strong. I believe that's what Monmouth's problem was too. They had a couple bad losses in their league, which overall is still which overall, I mean, it's still the MAC. As much as I enjoy watching the games, most years it's just going to be a one-bid league.
Right.
And they had a couple bad losses in there. I mean, I would have put them in only because, I mean, they went on the road and they beat UCLA. They beat Georgetown.
I thought it'd be enough.
They did a good job.
Yeah.
But I guess, I mean, the conference hurts you. It drags down your RPI when the conference RPI isn't good. And I'm pretty sure that's what happened there. But I would have given them the benefit of the doubt over St. Mary's. And Valpo, the same thing. They, you know, they didn't really show it in the non-conference. And, again, it's still the MAC. So I didn't have a huge problem with selection. A lot of people talk about this Michigan team, but when I watched them in the Big Ten tournament, just looking at them, I thought this looks like a team that wants to play more meaningful basketball. It was just, I mean, they were pulling it out of their rear ends, but they looked like a team that was playing with some energy and some desire over, say, Tulsa, who, I don't know, they really just didn't seem to have it. Really, Tulsa's only claim to fame was being the only team to win at SMU. And, of course, SMU not being in the tournament, that opened things up for several American conference teams, I think, to make it.
Mm-hmm. So when you talk about who were we just talking about? We were talking about St. Bonnie's and St. Mary. Okay. When you talk about how Monmouth beat UCLA, what I didn't track, and this is a good point that was made earlier in the show, but UCLA's season was so bad that hurt Monmouth. Like if they had had even a decent season and made the tournament, that could have been enough to get them in instead of
Right.
whoever ended up making it.
Right. I mean, they won at Georgetown, which Georgetown and UCLA had kind of similar seasons.
Yeah.
When you get down to it, and both kind of disappointing.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, even though within those seasons they had some big wins, and this is going to segue to another topic, Arizona. Arizona could not buy a win against big Pac-12 opponents for much of the season. I saw them play against USC. I think USC beat them too, but I should go back and check. But UCLA definitely did. I remember that very well. And so, it was, I mean, Arizona was just missing a piece, as Andy was saying that early in hour one, but I was noticing the same thing as I was watching whatever little I was watching of Arizona. Do you feel like something's missing from the Wildcats this year?
Maybe a little bit, but I've seen good flashes from them too, to be honest with you. I mean, I totally mushed. I'm going to look it up what exact game I was watching, but I was like, oh, big win for so-and-so against...
Oregon State?
It might have been.
Because they were... which team was it that was up by like 24 points? And what happened? Did they lose or something like that? Or no, they won, but they didn't win by enough points. That's what I remember.
Oh, no, that was Washington and Washington State.
Oh, okay, sorry. Okay.
But it was a game, and it was very late. And all of a sudden, Gabe York was like, must have seen my text message or something, and he, I don't know, he said, F you, and went off. Let's see if I can find
Does seem like a
game.
troll job.
It was in Tucson versus Cal. They won 64-61.
Okay.
And
Nice.
it was late game heroics, and a lot of it, almost all of it, was Gabe York. I kind of like Arizona going into the tournament. The Pac-12 was a very competitive conference.
Yep.
I'm surprised after they beat up on each other that, I didn't think Oregon was going to get a 1 seed. If you asked me 3 weeks ago, I didn't see any Pac-12 team as a top seed. If you got Utah sitting there as a 3, which as bad as they started conference play, I really like Utah. The Pirtle, the tall kid, he is fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, they've had good size most of the last couple years, right?
Yeah, but I mean, the Pac-12, I thought they did a good job getting their teams in there.
Yep, a lot of
Oregon
teams.
State waded their way in.
Mm-hmm.
Washington didn't, which after what happened, screw them.
You got Lomard bad. I remember that night. Oh, man.
Oh, they stayed.
That was rough.
Your kid went off for 47 points, and then he stopped playing.
I don't know, man. That was weird. An update from the first four. Last first four game is complete, and Michigan is a winner, 67-62, and it beats it just covers the forecast for our friend Chris in Syracuse. So, an important win for Michigan for obvious reasons, and they will now advance to the round of 64.
Yep, got that in the end. It was a good game. Even the earlier game, while it wasn't exactly well played or high scoring, you know, it had some juice with Southern and Holy Cross. And hey, Holy Cross gets their first win since first tournament win since the 40s.
Yeah, long time. Long time.
Long time.
Long time. I mean, I always get a little curious as to whether I count first four wins as tournament wins, but officially they are wins, so.
They are. They are official tournament games. Whether how you perceive them, that's up to you. But I for the books.
Yeah. We'll give it to
they're
them.
real games.
We will give it to them. We gave it to Cal Poly a couple years ago, so we will give it to Holy Cross here. Very good. So so that gets us right into it. Now that the first four is complete, we will now look into these four regions of the men's basketball tournament, which begins tomorrow. The round of 64 is what everybody talks about. And Thursday in particular seems like there is going to be some really, really good action. From the first round, which games stand out to you? And I'll share with you who CBS Sports' Matt Norlander thinks will be the top games of this weekend.
We're talking all first round games.
Yeah, I guess maybe we should break it down first. Let's go. We'll start with the South Regional to begin, and then just let me know which has the most juice, and we'll break it down that way. So we'll start with the South, and we just spoke of the Pac-12, and a number of the Pac-12 teams are in this South Regional. Cal is the big one. I think that's the one where you have the most NBA talent on it. Kansas is the one, though, that I think a lot of guys think will go to the Final Four, maybe even challenge for the championship. So who are your favorites from the South? And again, there's a lot of choices. Villanova is technically a 2 seed, but Tom's way down on them, as he should be. It's just a tough one. UConn's in this bracket. Maryland's in this bracket. Hawaii, they probably won't beat Cal. But Wichita State's in that bracket. Get them against Arizona. That's not going to be an easy game for either team, and Miami as well. So, I mean, it's a pretty good bracket. What do you think of the South Regional?
Well, I think it's good in the top half of that top section. I think the bottom half is a little questionable. You got a 7 seed. You got an Iowa at 7 who's trending about as down as it gets. I don't see them beating Temple, who's had a very solid season. You got Arizona, they're going to have to play Wichita State, and that's never an easy task. That's just, I don't care if they had to play the first 4 games. It doesn't matter. They're in the tournament. They have loads of experience. They're well coached. They play that certain brand of defense that can get under your skin. It's going to be a tough game. I like Arizona to win it, I guess, but when you're playing the Shockers, I don't think it matters what seed they are. They're going to show up to play, and you better show up too. I mean, you got a Miami team that didn't finish that well either. And, nobody's really high on Nova.
Right,
because,
right.
I mean, maybe they can get out of the first weekend, but that's as far as I see them going. I mean, think of it. Second round of 32, you're going to have possibly a Big Five matchup. Big day for Philadelphia.
Yeah, that is correct. I mean, Temple versus Villanova. Tom has put down his foot down on this game. He says that Villanova needs to beat Temple if that's the matchup. They have to do it. It's a city rivalry, he said. And if they don't, he's done. He's quitting. He's quitting Villanova.
I think that's probably their ceiling, though.
Well, no, I mean, I would agree with that, too. I think if they win that game, that's it. I don't see them going any further than that.
All right, and when you look in the top half, if they get there, you mentioned Hawaii. Hawaii has a ton of firepower.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't see them being able to hold Cal down enough because Cal is full of athletes and physical specimens, large dudes who can jump. But Hawaii can fill it up, and sometimes all it takes is to get hot and start draining the shots. But, Cal will win that game. A Maryland-Cal matchup is interesting because, I think the teams are pretty similar. You got some high-level talent. You have a little bit of inconsistency, and Cal's been more consistent, especially lately. I picked them in our preview podcast to win the Pac-12. And while they didn't do that, they at least came back around at the end of the year to not make me look like a total ass. But I think they're more consistent right now. Maryland, they get into trouble. Trimble will take the ball when they get in trouble, and he'll just get them into more trouble. When they played North Carolina, they turned the ball over double digits. It was bad. And they still had a chance in that game. But they just kept turning it over, and he'll just try harder and harder, and it just gets worse and worse sometimes. When, they have other pieces. They have Suleiman. They have Lehman. They have Diamond Stone. All good talent around him. You got to utilize them, though.
Right. Good deal. Quickly, a couple other quickies from the South. UConn had just a magical run in the AAC tournament. So I think naturally a lot of guys, and I'll be among those guys, would have them as a pick that to maybe even make the Sweet 16, which would be pretty remarkable because that means they would beat a veteran Kansas team in the process. How far do you think UConn can go?
I definitely like them in the first round matchup, and that's not.
That's true. They're going to play Colorado, right? Colorado is no slouch.
Well, I was just going to say, and it's hard to say that about Colorado. Jeff Scott is one of the better big men I've seen playing. But I just like UConn's momentum, what they got going for them. UConn has historically, if you've looked, that a team, when they get on a run in March, they go on a frickin' run in March.
Yeah, that's true.
But, I can't see them beating a Kansas team. I'll just say it as it is. I don't see anybody in that region beating that Kansas team.
Wow, so you're buying into Bill Self this year. That's going to be interesting.
They had their rough patch early.
They did.
And they got over it, and now they're playing probably better than anyone else. Another Big 12 championship, the whole thing. So,
but,
I don't see anyone in that bracket doing it.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you this. If you're talking about a team that you don't want to overthink it with, it's Kansas is that team. So I certainly see that, and they are rightfully among the favorites. And you never know. Like some years they do make the Final Four. So it's not as if they're incapable of making the Final Four. That's Sean Miller's issue. He can't get to the Final Four, which is hard to imagine. Like he's never made the Final Four with Arizona. I'm like, now what about that one? It's like no. And what about that?
Nope.
No. He's still never done it. That's crazy.
Oh, it's like, remember the team where he had A, B, and C? Nope, didn't get the. It's not like he hasn't had players.
Exactly, and they get the game basically at home every time. It's like if it's not in Anaheim, it's in Phoenix. If it's not in Phoenix, in LA. How do you not get to the Final Four
not
once?
Like Arizona has extra talent.
Oh my gosh, I guess not. I don't know what it. Yeah, it's peculiar. I mean, after a while, you wonder, is this pattern a coincidence? And I think we're reaching that point now, about a decade in, that maybe it's not a coincidence.
Maybe. Who knows? His brother might make the Final Four before he does.
That could be something.
I don't think this year, but it could happen.
It could happen. There's no doubt. So
he's got a good. I mean, as you know, he's got a pretty good thing going in Dayton right now.
Cool.
For who they are and what they are and where they are, he does good. He does good there.
Very nice. All right, so let's continue in our college basketball preview. This is Chris in Syracuse with us tonight, and we move into the East bracket. And this is the bracket with the team. I'm sorry, I keep saying bracket. The East Regional, and in the East region is the team that I think a lot of guys are going to favor to win the championship, North Carolina. I mean, that team is all that in a bag of chips. The one thing that I saw from North Carolina that was a problem was the ability to beat Duke. And that was crazy. I'm like, they were up a bunch of points, and there was only a minute left, or 2 minutes to go, up 8. Couldn't finish the deal. I'm like, what? That was peculiar. But you know what? That's not going to be a problem for them in this regional, because they're not going to meet Duke in this bracket at all. So, your prospects for North Carolina, and who else do you like in the East?
Well, I like UNC, but I mean, they're going to have a tough Sweet 16 game, whether it be Indiana or Kentucky.
Yeah.
But I still like them. But I mean, that's a tough matchup. Just hope that they're up enough points where Roy Williams doesn't get involved late in the game.
No, absolutely.
Because that's just not good for them. I mean, they won the second meeting against Duke, did they not? Is the first one that
I see. Now
so.
I got to go back and look.
Yeah, they did.
They did. Okay.
Yep. It was that first one where they blew that lead late, and I turned over to watch Oklahoma playing somebody, and it was a great game too. They came down to the last shot. I flipped over and I'm like, oh, I'll have time to get back to this. Next thing I know, the Duke players the North Carolina players are running off the floor. I'm like, what just happened? But one of the better games of the season, the Kansas-Oklahoma game, was one of the better games of the season.
Game. Oh, so good. With the triple overtime? I think it went triple.
Yeah. The best might have been that AAC semifinal.
Oh, yeah.
Whatever it was.
I think we both missed that one, right? With the one with UConn and Cincinnati?
Cincy.
Yeah. Good game.
Yeah. Indiana and Kentucky, that's potentially a really good matchup in the round of 32.
Mm-hmm.
The asshole coach went on the bracketology show on the 4-letter.
I saw this. I think I saw this.
Cried and bitched and whined. It's like, shut up.
He literally said,
why are you... What do you have to cry about?
Well, yeah.
You got an NBA team out there.
Oh, it's funny. But I did hear him say, I've been doing this 30 years, and it reminded me of Mike.
What I liked was the two coaches they brought on after him both commented on it. Jim Boeheim and Jay Wright.
Funny. That's funny.
Jay Wright's going, I came on here, and then you bumped Boeheim in between me and Cal. I don't mind getting bumped for Jimmy, but I had to sit through the Cal thing, too.
I tell you this. I mean, that's 3 guys who, if nothing else, they're fun interviews. That's the thing you can count on with those 3 guys.
Oh, yeah.
Good stuff.
Personality abounds.
Yeah, no doubt.
But back to that game that could happen, you're going to have 2 of the better point guards in the nation, maybe the 2 best, and Tyler Ulis and Yogi Ferrell going at it. That is going to be a battle. I give the edge to Indiana just a little bit because of Thomas Bryant down low.
Maybe, but
LeBessier he doesn't show up most of the games.
Okay. Interesting.
And Thomas Bryant's been very good. In fact, there was a very good chance he was going to be wearing orange, and he would have looked a lot better in it, in my opinion. But he's wearing the maroon, the crimson red there.
Yep.
And he's doing a good job for Tom Crean. If Tom Crean can win a couple games here,
saved his job.
He probably saved his job.
Yeah. You think there could there be issues with the defense though with Indiana going into this round of 64?
Yeah, maybe, but they'll still score enough. I mean, that's going to be a high score. That'll be a high scoring game.
Yeah,
I'm sure.
I dig. Like I'm just asking. I'm just because I'm not up on any of this really, to be perfectly honest. So.
I'd love to see Stony Brook give Kentucky a run, though. I really would. They won't, but that Warney kid is a beast.
Mm-hmm.
And kudos to them for finally getting in.
Yeah, definitely.
Couple years of heartbreak there.
Yeah.
And especially with the best player in the league by far, like not even close.
Boy, that's remarkable. So having the best player in the conference. And finally getting in. Certainly the work is worth the reward.
It took a double-digit comeback in a 43-point game from him to get that time.
Right. You brought this up to me a while back, just a few days ago.
He was like 19 for 24 from the field or something ridiculous.
It's like Bill Walton in 1975 or something like that. That's just crazy. Just
Back
wouldn't
in the
miss.
Pac-12 Conference of Champions.
Yeah, well, I mean, look, they've got a lot of teams in. That's pretty good stuff. Okay.
You look down the lower part of that region, there's some decent teams. West Virginia's very good. Notre Dame, they're streaky as always,
Right.
Live by the three, die by the three.
Oh, yeah.
And we all know that ND stands for no defense. You got Wisconsin. You got Wisconsin against Pittsburgh. I didn't like a lot of what Pittsburgh showed. They played a game towards the end. It might have been their last regular season game against Virginia Tech, and they lost, and it was awful. Wow. I guess the only thing they have going for them is that they beat Syracuse 3 times. They beat Syracuse every time they play Syracuse. They could have 0 wins on the year. They'll play Syracuse. They'll beat them both times they play them. It's just Jamie Dixon knows what to do against the zone. And there was an article going around up here after Pitt beat Syracuse in the ACC quarterfinal or first round game or whatever it was, and it said, why does every loss to Pittsburgh look exactly the same? And it does. They pass the ball in the middle of the zone and pass it out so quick, and they dominate on the offensive glass. That's how they do it. And they do it every goddamn time.
Well, I think that's a matchup for them. That's simply a matchup situation.
Of course, that was billed as a playing game to the tournament, and both got in anyway.
Funny.
Personally, I think if there were better teams out there, neither one of them should have been in.
I agree with that too. Certainly.
You got Wisconsin, not great. They lost so much talent from last year. I mean, you can't expect. Then they lost their coach early this year, but the guy that they got in there now, Greg Gard, they just gave him the full-time job and a 5-year deal, and he earned it, and he got him into the tournament. So, good job for them. And then you got Xavier, who I was really high on up until about a week and a half ago.
Ooh, what changed?
And then, the wheels fell off. They got their doors blown in by Seton Hall at the end of the in the
Big East.
Big East final.
Yep.
There was another game late, maybe against Butler or Marquette or one of the final conference games, and it just did not go their way. So I am not that high on them anymore. But for a while, I really liked them. They have the talent, but just trending in the wrong direction. Gotta like West Virginia. They had a pretty good run in the Big 12 tournament. I have UNC versus West Virginia in that one, and UNC coming out. They're just so athletic. Bryce Johnson is a beast. Roy actually has them all engaged in playing, and I've cited it before. That seems to be a problem sometimes with that team. It's like he needs a cattle prod or something.
Streaky team. I mean, even within the game, right?
To inspire them, yeah. It's like, come on, you should not need to be cajoled in big spots to, like, give a good effort.
Yeah, that's, I mean, I don't know how much of that is coaching and how much of that is the players, or maybe it's both because he recruits those guys, but sort of...
Well, what I'm saying is he shouldn't have to do that.
True.
You know?
That is correct. There needs to be, they need to be like Izzo's teams. Like, they need to be bringing it every game, every minute of every game.
And sure enough, they're right there again, aren't they?
Absolutely. That gets us out of the Midwest, and I really like Michigan State here, so much so that I might have to change a pick in the Elite Eight game, because if you just look at it, I mean, look, you can break down all the little things, like the Iowa State-Iona game is going to be great. There'll be no defense. Like Seton Hall.
No, take the over. I don't care what it is. Take the over.
Absolutely. Be 100, and it'd be like 200.
It's going to be 105 to 99.
Certainly. So, you absolutely take the over for that. That'd be a good call. And then you got Seton Hall Gonzaga, which is fun for me. I haven't seen Seton Hall in the tournament in a really long time. And just me personally...
They're very good.
Yeah, I believe it. I saw some of them.
They played out of their minds this year, especially last week.
Nice.
And Gonzaga, everyone's picking them because they have the name, but they didn't do a lot. They didn't do a lot this year to impress me.
No, absolutely right. I've been unimpressed with them all year. I mean, look, I don't see them a lot, but I just haven't seen much. What is their plus?
Wait. I've seen about half their games, and you live out there.
I know, but
I know.
That's a terrible job out of me. There's no excuse. I have no excuse. I should have seen way more of their games than I did. But when I did see their game, like you, I was not impressed. I was just not seeing how's this team going to make a run. Who's going to be their go-to guy? And so,
their go-to guys are going to be Sabonis and Welcher.
I don't like that.
Guys.
Big guys can't be go-to guys in this day and age.
Exactly. We all know what wins in the tournament, what has historically won in the tournament, and it's guard play. And they don't have any.
Right, key.
They don't have any.
I mean, even like last year you had, or maybe it was 2 years ago, I can't remember what year it was, but Pangos and that John Stockton's kid.
Perkins.
And they weren't even that good.
Perkins.
Oh, what was that, Perkins, you say?
Yeah, the Perkins kid was
right.
It was Perkins, Pangos, and for a while they had Stockton's kid off the bench, which is clearly a legacy issue. Like
Absolutely, yeah. No, that's a clear case of nepotism. Honestly, he wasn't that good. I didn't even know if he should have been on the team.
He turned the ball over more times in his few years at Gonzaga than I think his dad turned the ball over in his entire life.
Wow, that's bad. That's really bad. Yeah. Yeah, that's so. Again, the point of all this is that Gonzaga is not the thing, and that's another change I think I'm going to have to make. Because I like Seton Hall. I looked at them in the Big East tournament. I didn't see like a ton of it, but it was a solid team, and they put away. I think they were playing Creighton, whatever round that was, and they did a good job putting away Creighton.
They put away Creighton. They put away Nova.
Yep.
Yeah, and they put away.
They stormed Nova, right? Wasn't that a blowout? Am I thinking incorrectly?
No, you are. You're correct on that.
Okay.
It's starting to get there's too many white and blue teams in the Big East.
This is kind of right.
You got Seton Hall. You got Nova, kind of in there. You got Creighton. It's a lot of that. DePaul, but they're a little bit of a darker color, but. Yeah, it can be confusing what you're watching.
It's true.
Or what you're trying to remember you watch.
Same team playing itself in every round. It's in the Big East tournament. But yeah, no, that's cool. So for Seton Hall, one of the few holdovers from the old Big East. It's not even a holdover. It's basically a new conference. Just some of the old guys moved over to it.
Yeah, it's the schools that didn't have a stake in
football.
FBS football.
Yeah, exactly. So
just like the AAC is the marooned guys that nobody wanted.
Yeah. But the AAC has rebounded pretty nicely, though. That's a pretty good conference now.
It's decent. They've managed to put together something for each other. But if you look at it, it's kind of like a Frankenstein. It really is.
Mm-hmm. Well, it is, but I'm also speaking for the.
But a lot of conferences are like that now after all the realignment.
Well, I mean, even attempt to try to determine the regional aspects of any conference is pointless at the way things are going. It's just, it's gone. Like any regionality you had is gone. It's just you always get that one team that's way on the other side of the country. Big Ten's a good example. You have Rutgers way over here in Maryland, and it's just like, what the hell? It doesn't make any sense.
Rutgers needs to. I'm sorry for any listeners, but they need to be relegated to something.
Just take them out of Division One. Yeah, no, I can see that. Their basketball's terrible.
Fired Eddie Jordan. Got in contact with Danny Hurley up at Rhode Island, and he's like, "No, I'm good." I'd rather not go coach in the Big Ten if that's what I have to deal with.
Yeah, for sure. So let me put it to you. I'm not the one to pull punches here, but I will try to be as diplomatic as I can. Dayton versus Syracuse. You spoke highly of Dayton. Who would you have winning that game?
Honestly, I went with the homer pick.
Oh wow.
It's not like either. It's only. I figured I can afford it. It's a one-line deal. It's not like either one of those teams is going to beat the Spartans in the next round. So why not cheer for the hometown team? Because one win is the ceiling for either of those teams.
Yeah. Okay. That's fair.
And I have Michigan State in the Final Four from there too, beating Virginia again.
Yeah. I can see that. I mean, that happened in regular season.
Time. It's like they brought Virginia to Michigan State for the third time. Virginia, Tony Bennett, they can't get over the hump that is Tom Izzo in March. I had a buddy ask me, the question was just Michigan State in the Final Four. You're never wrong if you pick that. Even if they don't get there, it's never a bad pick before everything starts.
There's no question. It's
a smart pick. I mean, Izzo in March. It doesn't matter where he's seated, what happened. He doesn't give a rat's ass about the Big Ten tournament, even though they won it. He don't care.
Mm-hmm.
But they won it and they look good, and here they are again.
Yeah, I like it. In fact, I am going to revise that pick because I'm looking at it on my sheet. And I picked Virginia to beat Michigan State, and I thought to myself, why? Why would I do that? Virginia has such a tough time scoring, and you never see them do as much as they should because, again, eventually you have to get someone that can make baskets at the end of the game. And I never really saw, for years, I've not seen anyone in the Tony Bennett era really take those shots and make those shots. They go very far, but they don't go far enough where I think they can outclass Michigan State. As you mentioned, the better coach is Izzo.
I tend to agree. I mean, they're getting there to having that guy with Malcolm Brogdon, and they're going to play defense. But Michigan State, Denzel Valentine is one of the top 5 players in the country. They play together. We all know that. We all know that they start to click right about now, and they're always there when the dust settles.
It's a model of consistency that has been envied by many to behold. So it's going to be awesome to see them again. And Izzo's making the Basketball Hall of Fame. There's no question about it. He honestly, if you talk about just who's the best coach in the tournament, much like Tommy said in the first hour, and much like you would say, he's the best one we've ever seen. He does the most with the least.
He's the best tournament coach there is. That's
Definitely. And just because he hasn't won a championship more than, I think he might have finally won it like 3 years ago or something, but
I think he's won 2.
yeah, so he had that other one. That's right. I thought there was another one. Yeah, but
back then.
Either way, whatever number of championships he has, if you really factor in what he's given to work with, he really has done a tremendous job. I mean, I don't know of anybody that's gone to more Final Fours over a period of 15 years than Tom Izzo. He's really good.
Maybe Krzyzewski.
Right, Krzyzewski's a good choice because they won last year, right? They won the whole thing last year.
Yeah, but I don't think Izzo has the same kind of resources that Krzyzewski has either.
Right.
They're both good coaches. You can go far with either of them. That being said, if you want to segue over to the last region for the last few minutes here, I don't have Duke going all that far.
They shouldn't be, though. They're not that good. And yeah, we will do that now. We'll segue now to the West in our college basketball tournament preview with Chris and Syracuse. My name is Dave Medina, and if you have any comments for us, you may tweet them at DitCal. If you have your Twitter app open or your Twitter aggregator, whatever it may be, TweetDeck or Twitter bot or whatever the other apps are. So let's continue. Yeah, we have the West region, and like you, I don't really see Duke going very far either. I mean, certainly they could go to the Sweet 16, but I just don't think they're there.
Well, I don't think so, Vid, because they played 6 guys. They have nobody. They don't have bodies, and you know what Baylor has? A lot of big bodies, and it's going to get them in foul trouble, and it's going to wear them down, and it cannot be pretty. Baylor's kind of Jekyll and Hyde, but they have a lot of talent, and they are huge. They rebound. They play defense, and I can see it where Duke's in foul trouble, Duke's beat up, and they just won't be able to hang with that for 40 minutes.
They're going to run out of gas against either of those teams. The way I see it, there's been a lot of talk about Yale making a Sweet 16 run. When I did this bracket a couple days ago, I was just looking at it, and I was just not really putting any thought. And I just started advancing teams here and there. For some reason, I had Yale going to the Sweet 16. Do you think that there could be enough to beat Baylor? Now, you said they're not going to do it, but do they have the potential to beat Baylor and then eventually Duke, or if in some strange scenario, let's say they play North Carolina, Wilmington, could they make the run to the Sweet 16? Do they have that potential, personnel-wise?
Yeah, they do. They had a real good year. They play together, moved the ball real well, play good defense. But I think size is going to be a factor when they play Baylor. It's in the Ivy League. Those lower schools, they just can't recruit the same kind of size.
Gotcha. Okay.
It's just going to be tough getting enough rebounds and keeping Rico Gathers off the offensive glass.
Well, yeah, that would be tough, right? That would be tough to do. Okay, next up, let's chat about Texas because Shaka Smart got them back in the tournament. Pretty good stuff, but, that's a team we didn't talk about in the last hour. So, are they overlooked? How far can they go?
I have them going nowhere.
Oh, okay. You don't even how far? Just how bad do we have it? Are they even going to beat Northern Iowa?
I don't have them beating Northern Iowa.
Wow! You don't even have them beating Northern Iowa.
I like their moxie.
I'll tell you what. Northern Iowa's got that. Aren't they similar to Notre Dame in a way, where they're big on shooting the three? That's what I remember from last year.
Yeah, and West Boston can get in the way and cause problems too. They won the Missouri Valley on a buzzer beater. They're a fun team. I really liked what I saw. Texas, they got absolutely destroyed coming down the stretch by both Kansas and Baylor, and it was not pretty. So I don't think they're heading in the right direction the past couple weeks. And in fact, I think UNI is my surprise pick for the Sweet 16. I can see them beating Texas A&M too.
Northern Iowa beating Texas A&M. That would be something. That would be something.
I'd like to see it.
You know, and it's interesting because Texas A&M is actually one of the two, and as Andy was saying, like one of the two credible teams from the SEC. So if you think about that, that means two things. It means that, well, this is a pretty good team, but it also means that, you know, the SEC is so down. This team advanced from it. Yeah, that's
bad. I mean, you had South Carolina came out of the gate, won all those games when they played, you know, nobodies. You had LSU with all that talent and couldn't put it together, and that guy needs to be fired.
Oof. Yeah, what happened there? I mean, Ben Simmons did nothing. This didn't seem very exciting to watch.
He was at times, and he wasn't at times, and other times, other guys were taking the shots that he probably should have been taking, and I don't know if there were multiple agendas or I don't know what was going on there.
Yeah,
I don't think Johnny Jones provides great leadership. I don't think he's a good strategy guy. He can obviously recruit a little bit because, you know, he had Franklin and he had Jordan Mickey and now he had Ben Simmons. So he can get people there, but, man, I'd fire him. I really would.
Well, I mean,
hey, there's a job opening out towards Northern Cal now. So.
Yep, Dawkins is gone from Stanford, so that happened yesterday. So there'll be some other place for him to go. And yeah, LSU not making the tournament. That is, you can't sugarcoat that. That's disappointing.
Yeah, that's not good.
Yeah. Let me give you one last one on the West. We spoke of Oregon being a big player, and it's a very talented team, and they've done really good. Well, I don't know why Mike was so anti-Oregon today. They looked so good when I watched them play, and they dominated that Pac-12 tournament. I don't see why they can't be a Final Four team. The other team we want to watch for is Oklahoma, but I'm curious to see whether they will advance out of this first weekend. We will find out shortly. So between Oregon and Oklahoma, first of all, who do you think is coming out of this regional? And number two are the criticisms against Oregon unfair or did I lose him? No, I think I got it. Ooh, I need to get him back. Okay, so we just lost Chris in Syracuse from the telephone, so let me go ahead and call him back. Just a sec, we'll get him back in just a moment. Just a moment. We'll have him back on the line. And then we'll wrap it up. I'm basically just going to do this and then do the Final Four picks. So, let's see if we get him. Here on the program in the city. Nope. No go. Let's try it again. That's a strange situation. Did we lose him? Huh. I'm going to try it again. That's really weird. I'm going to quit Skype. We can attempt it another time. That's a strange way for this to end, isn't it? Okay, well, we'll try it once more. And we'll see if we can get back on the Skype. And we'll get Chris in Syracuse back because I am very excited to hear his Final Four predictions. And then I'll give you guys my Final Four predictions as well. And I'm going to make an adjustment to one of my brackets. So if you're in a bracket pool with me and you see me pick one team, I'm probably going to change it because I feel very strongly that Virginia should not be counted on to make the Final Four. And so that's basically the gist of it. So we'll get to that in a minute. Oh, here we go. We got him back. Okay, good. Here we go. Chris, do we have you? Hello?
Yeah. I don't know what that was about.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that. I think it might be my end tonight because Andy was dropping off a bunch of times. So my apologies. So, yeah, anyway, all I was going to ask you was about the West. with respect to Oregon, why was Mike... Hello?
Hello?
Oh, hello. Am I dialing two people at the same time? I have you, and it's dialing at the same time. It's kind of weird.
Yeah. I don't know what's going on.
Is that you? Is that me? That is really... Oh, hang on just a second. I don't know why it's making that noise. Isn't that funny? Oh, gosh. Strange. Well, anyway, just listen through that ringtone, and let us see. Let me just ask you then about Oregon, and see if... Do you think Oregon is the real deal? That's basically my question. Why have people been down on them, even though they've done everything right from the Pac-12 tournament on?
Well, my thing is, if they get to Oklahoma, will they be able to defend Buddy Hield? I think if you're looking at Oregon, I think your question isn't if they can score, they can put the ball in the basket. It's on the defensive end.
Got you. Makes sense.
That would be my question. I do like Oklahoma there because, well, when it got to there, I just picked Oklahoma because of Hield. He's the best player in the country. Maybe the best shooter in the country. Or one of them anyway. And he likes the big shot. It was so depressing to see that one taken away from him against West Virginia there, that buzzer beater that got called back.
Ooh, tough spot.
In the Big 12 tournament. Yeah, that one hurt me with a scenario too. So I was a big fan.
Yeah, it hurts in a couple ways, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah. So I had Kansas, Oklahoma, North Carolina, Michigan State, a Kansas UNC final, and I went with the Tar Heels.
Oh wow, you just rolled out your entire postseason there. Okay, let me run that by me again because I couldn't hear with all the rings. So you have North Carolina winning it all. I caught that part.
Yep.
That's a great pick. I love that pick. And who were your others?
Well, I had Kansas and Oklahoma on the left, UNC, Michigan State on the right. I had a Kansas UNC final.
You have Kansas going all the way to the final. That's pretty.
Yeah.
But like I said, don't overthink it, right?
You figure they're going to do it eventually, right?
I'm sorry. What was that?
You figure they can do it eventually, right?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, Bill Self is due. You know, even the Mongrels will eventually get one. It's happened before. I mean, Ned Yost won a World Series. I mean, so if he can win a World Series, anything's possible in the world of sports. So,
hey, Kevin Garnett said it.
Anything is possible. That's pretty funny. Okay, so we got our ring problem resolved. So who was the fourth team? So you had Kansas beating... Yeah, who'd you have coming out of the West? That's a good question. Oklahoma, right?
Oklahoma.
Ah,
yeah.
There you go. There you go. Okay. So, and then you have Kansas against North Carolina for the championship. Okay, very good. So now let me give you my Final Four and my postseason predictions. Here we go. This is wild and crazy, so feel me out. You might... In fact, it's probably completely... I think it's almost completely different from your picks. But I have California, so Cal's coming out of there, so they will beat Kansas somewhere along the line. I have Oregon. Now, this is probably...
That's not that wild.
It's not that wild. It's not that wild. I like the Oregon pick myself. The one that's a little bit limmy is Cal.
Definitely not as wild as Cal.
Yeah, Cal's a little wild. In fact, I may... Well, I'm going to leave it. I know I never get these, but I'm going to leave it anyway, just to see where... I mean, I would probably be in better shape if I actually picked UConn instead of Cal, but... Because you never know. I mean, that one guy could be a factor. But now, it's Cal. I'm going to stay with Cal. We're going to go with Cal. And then we're going to go North Carolina from the East. That's again, like you said, this is not a surprise to anybody. And Michigan State from the Midwest. I had Virginia listed, but I'm changing that as soon as we're off air tonight because I just can't trust Virginia. I just can't. I can't do it. So again, Cal, North Carolina, Oregon, Michigan State. I have Oregon in the championship game beating Cal. I have North Carolina beating Michigan State. Won't be easy, but they'll do it. And just like you, I have North Carolina winning the championship, beating Oregon for the final game of the season.
It's not that out there, but I mean, I don't think if I were you, I'd stick with it. But man, 2 Pac-12 teams making it all the way.
I know that is. I could go Kansas, but the problem for me in Kansas is that every time I have Kansas going to the Final Four, they do something stupid. Like they'll lose in the round of 16, or they'll lose in the Elite Eight, or they'll get bounced in the first weekend. That's when they always get me. When I think that they're actually going to do something, that's the year they don't. So I think your strategy is actually pretty good, but I'm letting my emotion take over on that one. Because otherwise, I think Kansas would do it. They've got a lot of veterans. It's a veteran team. And this region, really the only guy that would even get in their way, maybe UConn early. And we mentioned Cal with all the talent they've got. And I'm not worried about Arizona, but seriously.
It's a veteran team. Perry Ellis is 30 years old.
He is 30 years old. He looks 35.
He looks like he's 35.
I think we said that together. That's funny. But it's true. I mean, he looks like he's already reaching, like, midlife crisis already, and he's in college basketball. So, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of veteran leadership on that team.
Yeah, but I don't know. I think they had their hiccup like everyone did, but it was back in January.
Right.
And if you're going to have one, that's probably the time to have it.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, I just said it to you all hour. I said don't overthink it. Maybe I shouldn't overthink it either. I should just go with the team. It's a tough spot. It is a very tough spot to pick 2 Pac-12 teams in a championship round or in a Final Four. I don't think it's ever happened. Have you ever seen a Final Four matchup with 2 Pac-12 teams? Ever?
No.
I haven't either. So it's like I'm really just shooting myself in the foot, making that call. So you may have a point on that. Maybe some.
Did UCLA and Arizona ever go at the same time?
That's a good question. I can't remember. I think they might have played once in the tournament in recent years. I don't remember them making it all the way to the Final Four.
I'm trying to think maybe not even if they played each other, maybe if they made it on the opposite side.
Oh, yeah. Because remember when UCLA made 3 straight Final Fours with Ben Howland?
Yeah.
Where was Arizona during those years? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either.
Well, no. We have an answer to that. They were nowhere because they didn't get to the Final Four because they had or was that before his time? Was that before Sean Miller?
That's what I was kind of wondering. Was he there yet?
No, I don't think so. Because remember, Lute Olson was coaching until the end of that decade. And then if you remember, they had Kevin O'Neill filling in as an interim for about, half a season because Lute Olson cited health concerns or something, and he stopped coaching. And then a little bit after that, Sean Miller took over, but I think that was, 2008, 2009 or something like that? Might have been 2008.
Yeah, I mean, he hasn't been there a ton, has he?
Well, yeah, well, he's been there longer than we think. I mean, he certainly has been there at least 5 years, at minimum. So, I'll look it up.
Oh, yeah.
Let me look that up right now. I'm going to look it up.
I'm looking.
Let's not debate this. Let's figure it out.
The Final Four appearances. What do you remember? Do you remember what those years were when Ben Howland made it?
Yeah, I do. It was 06, 07, and 08. And
no. Arizona's last Final Four appearance. Get ready for this.
I think I know.
15 years ago.
Oh, my God. So it was a 2001 championship game against Duke, right?
Yep.
Holy cow. Has it really been that long? Gosh. Man, that's disappointing. I mean, think of all the talented guys they've had. I mean, Derek Williams and all those guys, and you mentioned who was that guy? Hollis Jefferson. And
Yep.
they've had
They
some good
fellowship.
players, and this is the best they could do with it?
Right, and they, and you're right, Sean Miller accepted the job on April 6th, 2009, so he started in the 09-10 season.
Okay. Wow. So the point of that is to expect two Pac-12 teams to meet in the Final Four. The odds of that are astronomical. It's stupid. It's kind of downright stupid to even go that route. So I may not. I may change that too. So look, usually they say stay with your first instincts, but honestly, I've been getting burned with a lot of by overpicking upsets. I've been doing this the last like 3 years in a row, and it kicks me out of the tournament. I need to stop doing that. I need to settle down and don't be quite as zealous with the upset picks.
I gotta tell you, I was looking at mine. I'm like, oh man, this is a lot chalkier than I've been even the past couple years. But we shall see how it all plays out.
No, certainly, and nothing is in
A couple
stone.
weeks sports.
Exactly, that's why they play the games, isn't it?
Yep. Best couple weeks in sports.
Best couple of weeks indeed. The best couple of days in sports would be like today and tomorrow and the day after, right? Like that would.
Oh yeah.
That would just be.
Yeah.
Oh, we live for this time.
Oh,
Okay.
absolutely. Yep.
Well, friend, if you have a chance to get the Buffalo Wild Wings anytime between the next 18 days, this is a good time to do it. 15 days.
Kind of have a tradition to watch the final there,
Ooh, it's nice. That's a good tradition.
or somewhere.
Right.
Yeah, I mean this weekend I'll be taking off, getting my race season underway, so it's kind of like I won't be around. It's weird. It's weird when it happens like this. I mean, I'll be around tomorrow somewhat after work, and then Friday I'll take off for Pennsylvania.
Look at
I'll
that.
be home real late Saturday night.
Yeah, and you're gonna. Oh, that's right. I'm excited to hear your updates from that trip too. So enjoy that too. Enjoy your big trip to Pennsylvania.
So yeah, I'm glad because earlier this morning it wasn't quite looking like that.
Oh wow. Oh wow.
But yeah, it'll be a good time. I can't wait to get that going either. But it's weird that I watched the college basketball all year, and then push comes to shove in tournament time, and there I go.
It's so ironic to me. Like this is your baby, and then in the most important game of the college basketball season, you tend to be out of the mix just because of the scheduling, I guess, right?
Scheduling, yep.
Yeah, I hear you though. It's you got to follow your passions, and sometimes one passion supersedes another one. So I respect that.
Yep.
Good deal.
Yep. Well, thanks for having me on.
Absolutely.
It was a good time as always talking.
I like this. The feeling's mutual, and thank you very much for all the analysis, Chris. It was a good time, and good luck to your brackets this year. And I like that you're going more chalk. That's keen. I think just everybody can talk up their early round upsets, but at the end of the day, who ends up in the Final Four most of the time? It's usually the number ones, the number twos. So it's a pretty good idea.
Remember, those games are nice to get them, but you got to make sure your teams that are way down towards the middle of the sheet of paper stay there.
Right. Oh yeah.
You pick a big 12 or 13 seed for an upset. That's great, but if that's as far as you have them going, and you forsake something further down the line that's going to get you more points, it's kind of counterproductive.
No, that's true. Yeah, you just got to play it smart. You got to play it smart. So, so Chris, enjoy the games. I'm gonna be certainly trying to pop a little window with the game. Sneak it in the corner of the computer screen and watch some basketball myself. So, it should be. I'm excited. It'll be a good time. So.
Yep.
Okay. Take it easy, my friend. Enjoy your weekend and
you too.
enjoy your travels ahead too.
All right. Thanks a lot. We'll
All right,
talk
bud.
to you soon.
All right, man.
Later.
Take it easy.
Bye-bye.
Chris in Syracuse on the program, and that wraps it up for us tonight. Very fun. What a great night of college basketball conversation. Thanks to Tom in New Jersey, Andy in Seattle, and our friend Chris in Syracuse for joining in on the NCAA Tournament preview. It is a great time, and we're just getting started for our springtime podcast. Next week, we have the MLB season preview with Jerry and Piscataway and Ari in Philadelphia. Be there for that same time, same place, right here in the city at 10 Eastern. Until then, have a good weekend. We'll see you next time.